The long-awaited trip to Cotonou began on this fateful day in 2022. I've always wanted to go to Cotonou. I've spoken to lots of people, I've watched YouTube video, and I was very excited when I got an offer to embark on this journey. Join me on this ride. As you might be wondering already, as at this time it was already about 6:30 a.m. Lagos time, Nigeria, and the city of Lagos was already bustling and hustling as usual. And one striking thing is on this day, the commercial buses were supposed to be on strike. As we proceed on this journey, we will see some areas where they actually upheld this strike. However, there was no traffic and the journey was smooth all the way. For those of you that know Lagos very well, this is the downtown part of Oshodi, Nigeria. So we'll keep progressing. Though I've never been to Cotonou, but then I know these parts from Oshodi through Maitu, through Ojo, through Agbara, then to Badagry. I know up to Badagry, so I've never actually gone past Badagry roundabout. So, but in this video, I will take you through and beyond the Badagry. So, all these areas we are getting close to the Badagry town itself. From the Badagry town, we'll now proceed to the semi-border route. On this semi-border route, we are going to be seeing very less of vehicle. But as we proceed, enjoy the noise of the hustling and bustling of our Lagos city. I would like to point that I used a private car for this purpose. I rented a taxi, being my first time, and I was going for official reasons. So I used a private vehicle, and I also left early. So it made it very fun. And the 10-lane roads the government is working on made it so much fun. As you can see, on this bridge, we are getting close to the checkpoints. So shortly, because it's my first time, I'm not sure. You can drop on the comment section if I could video the checkpoint. I had to stop at this point, and then we continued after we passed through the checkpoint. There are so many checkpoints. You have police checkpoint, checking for petrol if you are carrying petrol, if you are carrying fuel, if you are carrying other contrabands. You have NDLA, you have EFC. No, there's no EFCC, pardon me. You have immigration. They checked my international passport. If you have ECOWAS passport, it also works. Also, they also check for my yellow card. So these are the important things you should have. So as you can see here, we finally got to the ECOWAS border. So after you pass through the Nigerian border and you have been checked, you arrive at the ECOWAS border. So here is where they check your yellow card, they stamp your entry point into Cotonou and your exit from Nigeria. So this is it. And at this point, I needed to change my currency from naira to sefa because Cotonou, Benin Republic in general, uses sefa. The people, I must say, are lovely. They're welcoming. They don't bother if you don't understand the language. Now, this is Cotonou, a very lovely place, and that's my bureau de change guy. The driver, because I also use a private driver. I was changing my money in the car right there. So now that I have been cleared from the border and I have gained legal access into the Benin Republic, the first question I asked, this area is still called, by the way, Seme, border of the Benin Republic part. Nigeria has its own Seme border area. Cotonou also has its own Seme town. And the first question I asked was, why are there no lots of cars on the road? Because I've heard so much that there are no traffics and there are no the number of cars on the roads are fewer than compared to Lagos. And the response I got was, I was thinking it was because of how much fuel was expensive and how unavailable it really is compared to Lagos. And they said that's not the case. The population in Cotonou is not that much compared to Lagos. In fact, the entire population in Benin Republic is not even up to that of Lagos. So the number of persons having to commute are not that much.
And another thing I've come to realize after a long time of my stay in Cotonou is that they don't have that much number of children, so the population is actually under great control. This is another great thing you notice about Cotonou. Big roundabout, large, big roundabout. In fact, they are funny. You see the driver smiling because I was telling him what is the meaning of this. You can't. This is almost like an estate in Lagos. Left to just be a roundabout. You just keep turning around this. It has no, there's no decoration. There's nothing. It's just that's to tell you how much space they probably have. It's a small country bordered by lots of water, meaning they have lots of beaches, like lovely beaches that you take your family to and have such a lovely time. So the town is there's nothing like traffic. They have pretty nice cars. Yes, well, when you get into the main town, this is still the villages. When you get into the city, the main town, Cotonou, you will realize that they have nice cars, and that is also because their roads are good. Their roads are very, very good. So their maintenance culture are lovely. You see by the right hand side, they have dedicated lanes for bikes and tricycle. The bikes they call them keke now. The tricycle they call them keke as we call them in Lagos. It's so lovely to know that you have a dedicated lane for them. Regardless of this, the highest number of accident rates recorded in this city is still from these bike users because I learned they run at top speed most times, so you hardly have vehicular accident, just them, and it's always very fatal. In fact, during my stay here, I experienced one myself, but it's still the major means of transportation. Yes, go everywhere you want to go to. The bike guys, the keke no are still your best. The taxes are very expensive. Cotonou is an expensive city. The housing is expensive. They pay monthly, depending on the area you want to stay. If you want to really stay in the rural areas, you could get fairly affordable, but averagely at 20,000 naira. I'm not sure you get anything less than 20,000 naira per month. I mean, 20,000 CFA per month. And when you multiply 20 by 12 per year, you're looking at 240. So, and these are very, very rural areas. So, um, you are looking at Cotonou main towns, main city to get an apartment there. You should be considering about 150 CFA to 200, probably 250 per month. When you multiply that, that's you living in Lekki. So, but the architectural designs when you get into the city, it's top notch. Take it from me when I say it's top notch. If you want to live the good life, you come to Cotonou, you will enjoy it. Their security is guaranteed. Nobody, 12 noon, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., there are people that sell on the street, hawking, moving around. Like they are not just in their shops. People move around freely. The bikes are there, 2 a.m., 1 a.m. Just come out of your office. I close from my office whenever I want to because I know it's free. There's safety. I close 12 a.m., 1 a.m. I just come out and I take a bike and I'm going to my house and I get down from my bike and then I just move in. People hardly even want to use cars. People just enjoy the fact that they just take bike from point A to point B. Um, and it's pretty affordable to take the bikes depending on your journey within the city itself, regardless of the distance. It's a maximum of 500 CFAs. They still use coin, and it's very intriguing to me to know that this country, their president is doing a lot for them. It's adding value to their lives and their economy. Is reflecting that you already see that from the fact that the CFA is now higher than the naira. As I speak to you, the CFA is still higher than the naira, and this wasn't the case some years back. So that's why Nigerians used to come here to buy cars because buying cars from here and clearing them using the SEFA was way cheaper. But now it's not the case because the SEFA is higher. So if you are earning in Naira and you're living in Cotonou or Benin Republic in general, you'll be spending way more at this time. It's like you're spending when earning in naira, you're spending in dollar. That's what it is. So it's even preferable to earn in sefa and spend in naira, as the case may be. So this town is so amazing, so free. The people are friendly. They try to understand how whatever language you speak. The major lingua franca here is, of course, French. French. Then a little bit of them speak Yoruba. Their Yoruba is not directly like that of our Yoruba in Nigeria. Then some of them speak English. So your best friend will be the Google Translator. Yeah, whatever. Then when something you need to note in the language, this is another roundabout. They are trying to construct something inside of it. I learned their president is just about 6 years in office, and within that 6 years is how he has transformed this entire town. Shortly, I'll tell you something about the president and some of the policies he has set in place that has made this country somewhat corrupt free. The language is here. The lingua franca is French. When you do your Google Translator or translation, the last consonant of every word, for instance, if you translate rice to here it's rice, Rix. You don't pronounce it as rice. You pronounce it as re. You remove the last consonant. So that's when they will understand. Because if you keep saying rice, nobody will understand what you're saying. And then you could also press the voice, the audio sound from your Google Translator to pronounce what you translated and put it in their ear. They are very accommodating. They will try to understand what you are saying and help you out. Talking about the corruption, this is somewhat like a corrupt-free country, and that is because of the policy their president has put in place. This policy says that if you are caught that you've stolen, they found out that you're not paying tax, whatever it is that has been recorded against you as corruption, you will pay 3 times of the amount which you have stolen. So many Nigerians ahead, so many corrupt leaders ahead ran out of this country when their government came into power. This is some of their coin. That's 100 sefa, 200 sefa. You keep spending it in this place. It's so amazing. And we got to um one of the toll gates and we had to spend coin. It was very amazing. So when you know you steal, for instance, 1 billion sefa, and you know once you are caught, you will pay 3 billion sefa, then why did you even steal it in the first place? So it's a corrupt-free country, so to say, at the very least. So even if you have to do it, then you have to be very discreet or not like Nigeria where people are competing to be the most corrupt politician. So moving into the town, um, very expensive to take cabs or private taxi, like I told you earlier. This vehicle that I took, private driver, cost me about 20,000 cefas at the end of the day because he had to take me to the office, take me to where my new accommodation. Yeah, I had to pay 20,000 cefas. As at this time, if you convert it to naira, that should be almost 25,000 naira. There's no Uber that will take you on that journey and charge you that amount. Pretty expensive. And this is the town. So you begin to see the architecture, begin to see how free the town is. This town obeys all the traffic um, lights. And their law enforcement, the police, are always on standby. They are always at checkpoints. They are always at designated points all day long, all day, all night long. 2 a.m. when you're passing, they are there. 1 a.m. when you're passing, they are there. 3 a.m. when you're passing, they are there. And they are not sitting there, they are standing at alert. Like a country that is this peaceful, you wonder why they are that diligent. You Sometimes I buy things and I forget to collect things because of the language barrier. These guys run after you to give you your change. They know you don't know. They still come run around to give you. They are that professional. They measure everything by scale. They are neat. The roads, the town, the city is cleaned at night because there's constant electricity. They don't clean it by day the way we
Ah,
do in Lagos where you are going to
ah,
work
ah.
and people are cleaning the road throughout the night. So for anything, I think it's from 11 p.m. till maybe 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. That's when they clean the road. So it's a well organized city.
Okay,
It's
port.
it's
Okay.
so amazing to be here.
Wow.
And this is Kajeon area. This is their port. This is their port to the left. Yes, that's their seaport where all the cars come in, all the things you ship from outside the country come in. So we are in like their VI area now. This is like their industrial commercialized business district. And houses, like I mentioned earlier, houses around this place are pretty expensive, but these are some of the beautiful places you can stay in Cotonou. Remember that Port Novo is their capital. I learned that Cotonou is also a very, very beautiful city, less expensive than Cotonou. Their president actually stays in
Why
Cotonou.
do you have police
His
on the
house
road?
is not very far from this location.
Eh,
I hope we get to see it as we continue to progress. And you see the walls well painted. I learned they have the longest um, type of this painted wall in the whole of West Africa. It's so amazing. In fact, for more than a month I have been in this town, I keep having to video this kind of walls. Like, if you've lived in Lagos for so long and you come to this town, you would just be amazed at how much an African nation so next to Nigeria could be that developed, could
very
be that
beautiful country.
safe, could
Wow.
be that serene, could be that,
Wow.
could have so much serene environment. I mean, could have
Oh.
this kind of constant electricity.
Wow.
That's the president's house. That's the flag. Yeah, that's
Wow.
it. That's the president's house, residential apartment.
Wow.
So you find out it's
Wow.
so lovely to stay here.
Wow.
It's free. There is no there is no
What's
worry.
this?
He's not you don't see security men all over his house
Okay.
because he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. You just be amazed
Wow.
about how this place is with basically nothing to point to as their main natural resources. They're able to live on the little internally generated revenue and do a lot with it. So you don't get to blame them when things are pretty expensive. It helps them maintain their infrastructure, and it's really an amazing place to live, whether for short term or long term. That's the Nigeria
Is it Nigerian embassy?
Embassy to your right. They also have a Nigerian International School just in front. You have this area contains almost all the embassies in Benin Republic. They are all situated next to each other. You have the China Embassy there, Cuba Embassy, Indian Embassy, all in this environment. And you have a lot of industries here. It's really an amazing place. If you're coming for tourism, the beaches are there. For coming for business, you have the port, you have lots of importation. Because of the fluctuating currency, we are hoping the naira comes back up. So you can come here and do lots of business. You want to stay here long term, you have the opportunity to enjoy yourself. There is basically nothing bad or downside of staying in Cotonou or Benin Republic as it were in general. So, guys, if you have any question you want me to answer, if you have comments or if you have things that I have not communicated or not communicated
Is this
correctly,
MTN office?
please share them in the comment section. And if you have still not yet subscribed to this channel, I'm urging you to
like
subscribe
change the mindsets
because
of everybody.
I have a
We
lot
totally
more
eradicated
to show
corruption.
you.
Yeah.
So
So I
immediately I was
heard.
able
I
to
heard people
settle
ran
down,
away,
get
sir.
to my
I say if
office.
you
The
steal
next thing,
from the
because I was going
government,
to settle down in this town
it's
for a
not hard.
pretty long
You have
time,
to
the
put it
next
down.
thing was
It's the
to
law.
try
You
and
pay
get
how the government
my
tax take
SIM
off the
card.
amount of the store,
So
or you
there
go
are
to
two
library.
major
Simple.
Straight
mobile
up.
telecommunications
There's no
networks in
argument. You still 1 billion, you go
Cotonou.
pay
I
back
don't know
1 million.
about Benin in
They will let
general,
you
but
go.
I'm certain
Or
of Cotonou.
and
And
there's no way
that's
you can steal money
MTN
and be able to
Benin.
pay back by
And
tomorrow.
then you
Of
have the
course.
Move
Hey, why would you steal in the
Africa,
first place if you?
MOOV
So
Africa Move. The
or you
most
go to
popular,
life in
of
jail.
course, is MTN.
That's
So
why I
I'm going
change
to their
all the
office
every
to ensure that I
digital
get a
system,
registered
all the
SIM.
systems of all the roles and
The
status.
number of their
Everything is
digits for their
computerized.
SIM card
Wow.
So you
is
cannot
just
nothing. They're
eight
not the write anything for paper
digits, so
again.
it's easy to cram
Once
This
they
compared
this
write
to
country,
anything,
Nigerian
but this no
11.
Benin. That's what I'm telling you
So
that
I
give
checked
here
for some
10 years,
apartments
Nigerians will be
initially
much
because I was
worse
coming
if
to
I
see for
want to.
myself
They go start to
before
learn
just
French.
settling down.
So they go teach
By
you.
my left here, you see the beaches.
I dey tell you.
The entire landscape
If
here
that's
is
if
just
after he leaves,
water, so the
yeah,
the
land
next
makes
is
them
able
the
to
beach.
2
continue.
So
years,
they are
person
it's
continues.
free.
Where you dey
The
go?
beach
People
to
like
go
go
to the
fit just
beach
say,
is free. Some persons just set
block
up
them lower.
tents, set
Okay.
up camps where you can
So that's just
have
it.
fun, sit down.
That's just
But basically, using the beach is free.
We
Playing with
don't
the
pass your
water
own
is
apartment.
free. You don't have to pay any gate fee to walk into the
Sorry,
beach.
this one
But it's
another
when you
corner
want to sit down under a
of the
tent,
city.
buy drinks from them or anything, that's when you pay. So this is a developing area of Cotonou. Um,
Now stay
Regardless
interview.
of where you stay in Cotonou, it's just the top max you can pay for bike
Oh, okay.
for Kekeno is
So why are you not
500
going to Ghana
sefa.
from here
So
directly?
disregard the distance. So some persons
Oh,
come
okay.
this far just to get a
That's
cheaper
with the MD2.
accommodation.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's what
Now
is
just the
all
three
the
of the
same.
travel.
The distance does not determine if there's power supply. There's constant power supply day, night. There is security. There are amenities where you are. The
You've not told who.
water,
I've not told the
the
MTN
power
manager.
supply,
I will
the water
tell
is dependent on
Remo
the
to call
power
him and tell
supply.
him.
So once you
Okay, so
don't
you
have
work with the
water,
MTN manager
once
directly
you don't
here.
have
Yes,
power,
yes.
once you don't
He's on
subscribe
that
for
floor too.
power,
Yes, it's on
your
that
water
floor.
stops flowing. So it's like the Western culture, the Western pattern. They modeled it that way. It's a very civilized environment. Honestly, it's intriguing to know that Benin Republic is this developed when Nigeria, the giant of Africa, hasn't. We still have a long
Have they
way
gotten
to
my
go. The
laptop?
government provides the water,
I think they
and
should be
it's
purchasing
very
it.
clean. It's just so amazing. Everything in this country is orderly. It's like
So
everybody's
who will be
brain has
holding
been
it for you when you
restructured
leave?
to
It's you now.
follow the environment.
But you said I'll
The
be
law
getting my
enforcement
laptop
agent
this week.
don't
So you
harass
don't need
people.
to go. You just
They
be there
even
physically
direct you when you
once.
ask
I'll be
questions.
there the month.
Sometimes
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll be there. I'll
they
be
try to
inside.
help you out. They are very accommodating. The persons are accommodating. The law enforcement are accommodating. By the left,
So
you
what
see
my
the
work, there are
landscape, the
some tasks
beach.
that people send
They try to
directly to me,
make
Yeah.
everything
and
beautiful. They
I
are
know who is the
growing
right person to
plants,
Push it to.
attend
palm
it to,
fronds
and
there,
you
just to make
understand.
it. This is
So
it.
I don't
So
know what
beautiful,
they
so
do for here.
beautiful.
So we
Talking
just
about
go
the
that one.
temperature, the
Since the
temperature
Indian
is
guy is there,
same with
he has an apartment there.
Lagos,
So
Nigeria.
at in like
So
30 minutes,
my
just
people,
go up 30
welcome
minutes.
to my
From my
channel.
like
Please
go wait
subscribe and
outside.
see you next time.